All right, all right. What's going on? And welcome to Mr. Taper's Barber Life. We have a very well-known gentleman in the building. What's your name, sir?
Sincere Gillis, CEO of Directors Cut Inc.
That's right. That's right. And for those who don't know, he is a very actually world renowned with his barber skills. Can you tell us how? Well, first of all, how did you get started in the barber game?
Um, I got started in the game at a very, very young age. Coming
Hmm.
out of high school, was looking for work. Actually, was doing some jobs working at a mall not too
Hmm.
far from where I live in New York. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and the mall that I was going to was in Long Island,
Um,
Roosevelt Field Mall.
okay.
And I was working two seasonal jobs there, part-time for both jobs. But because they were seasonal, they let you go when the season is over. And
Right.
so I was in a place where I was just like, I don't like the feeling of being let go of a job where I'm getting paid and I'm relying on this money to
Right.
to help me survive. So um, I just thought of what's the thing that I can do that'll solidify me working and no one will be in a position to let me go and determine when and how I'm going to get this money.
No.
And barbering is the thing that came out to me. It's like hair always grows back. You cut it off, it grows back again. You're
Right.
always going to want to come to see somebody to get your hair done. So um,
Mhm.
I jumped into it from that perspective and started learning. Um, Started doing a couple of people in my neighborhood,
Mhm.
and just started, getting better at my crafts, self-teaching myself. Then I got into a barbershop and was able to work in a barbershop. And then once I got in the barbershop, after after a couple of years, decided to do the whole apprenticeship situation. And
Okay. But let's go back because that's a big thing. So you were just cutting hair in the neighborhood, and you got good enough to work in a barber shop.
yeah,
That's crazy. That's a serious jump in skills. Your skill level must have been like, crazy.
it got to that place. I mean, I'm a very determined person when it comes to something that I want to do.
Mhm.
And then I will say that, first and foremost, I'm an artist.
Mm.
So my background in high school and then eventually when I went to college, in
Mhm.
high school it was illustration and cartooning.
Uh,
So I was an artist in doing that. And then when I got to college, it went from graphic design to computer graphics.
okay.
Um, so I always was a person that was using his hands
Mm.
in a certain type of way, always drawing and doing things of that nature. So it was now just transferring the skill level from, using a pencil and paper or paint and brush or even spray paint to the wall, using that hand talent and just shifting it over into the clippers. And
Okay.
I always said that, now somebody's hair is my canvas, and the clippers is the tools to sculpt and do what I need to do with it.
Right, right. So I already know your eye for detail is insane. For you being
Yes.
an artist, a graphic artist, uh, I already know you can see things that the average barber can't see. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah, yeah.
and I know you do this because every barber does this. You're out walking somewhere, somebody walks by you. First thing you do, look at his cut. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then and then you tell yourself, I would have did this or I would have did that. Or you could say that's a good cut. Am I
yeah.
right?
You're absolutely right. I do that, but you know what? I do that more to my work than I do to anybody else's work. Um,
Okay.
I may look at somebody else's work and see somebody that comes in or somebody that's walking by. And if I see good work, I'll say, yo, that's a nice cut.
Hmm.
Um, if I see that there's something that needs to be that I could have done differently to it, um, I usually don't say much because I never want to be in a place where I'm bringing down somebody else's work,
Right.
um, unless they've asked me specifically for my opinion for it, and then I'll solicit it at that point.
Right.
Um, but for my work, I'm always critical, and I always say to myself, I'm only as good as the last haircut that I've done. And so
So
my
true.
closest friends that I had that I cut, even from back in the days when I used to cut them, it
Hmm.
was like a good like one of like two of my good friends that I call my brothers. I would cut their hair and we'd be like, all right, let's go out. We would go out to go to a party, and we're in the party, and in the party I'm looking at their haircut. And
Right.
I'm just
Right.
looking at their haircut to
Right.
the point where they're like, "Yo, stop looking at your work. Let's enjoy the party." You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Right.
I'm so meticulous in that area where I'm looking at it and I'm like, "Oh, it's a good cut," but
Hmm.
next time I do it, I'm gonna do this differently to get this effect or to get this look or
Right.
to do this or make this line a little bit different or straighten this a little bit more, whatever it is. And when I'm done with the haircut, I'm very satisfied with what I've done. But because I'm just that person, I'm
Hmm.
a perfectionist. My sign is a Virgo, so
Hmm.
it just has to be to the T. That's it.
Okay. Well, I know when, I'm a movie buff, I watch a lot of TV, and in the last 10 years, I've noticed, as far as black talent on air, that the cuts have gotten a lot better. And I know you have a lot to do with that, you and a couple of other barbers. Um, Tell me, first of all, how do you feel about enhancements for your client? Or and are you someone who prefers a natural look, or do you prefer enhancements, or it doesn't matter?
I prefer I prefer the natural look because
Okay.
it's who you are, it's what you have. You have to really just be in a position to make do with what it is that you have, right?
Right.
And try to um, make better with what it is that you have.
Right.
Not every, that's what makes everybody different. Everybody has, not everyone can grow a full beard. Not everyone can just have clear skin to where you get clean shaven and you have great skin.
Right.
Everybody is different. So it's just utilizing what you have and making the most of it. Enhancements now, I'm not opposed to it. I
Right.
am, but the reason I'm not opposed to it is because it's something that that we do use when we're in the film world, when we're in the TV and film industry. There's times where you need enhancements to create a look, and at this point, you're in a position of creating a character. And
Right.
so when
Right.
you're with the actor and your hair department, production, and everybody else that is in the process of creating this character, the character needs a look, then you're supposed to be in a position to provide that look and deal with the enhancements. For me, enhancements is not just using fibers to
Mhm.
put on somebody's hairline or on somebody's beard to enhance that look. Enhancement to me is somewhat of just like not only that, it's wigs, it's it's a whole lot of things that you can use for enhancements, right?
Okay.
Um, and so for me, I'm not opposed to it, but what I am opposed to is just enhancements being used that doesn't allow your look to be as natural as possible.
Right. Right. Okay. So let's go back to your first day at the barber shop. Everybody remembers that first day. And were you nervous or were you confident? What was going on?
Definitely nervous, but
Shout out the barber
was
shop too. What's the name of it?
oh wow. The first barbershop that I worked in, to be honest with you, like I can't I remember the shop that was next to it more than I remember the shop that I was working in. And the reason why is because the shop that was next to it was the actual shop that I wanted to go work in,
Uh,
right?
okay.
Um, the name of that barbershop is a barbershop in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. It's on
Mm,
Clarkson and 51st Street. And the name
mm,
of that barbershop was Prestige Barbershop.
okay.
Um,
Is it still
and
there?
it's still there. I actually spoke to the owner of the shop not too long ago, and I have to make a visit. I have to pay him a visit because it's been years since I've seen him. Mind you, the owner of that shop used to work in a barber shop literally adjacent across the street from him.
Mm,
Um, and it was like a Haitian barbershop that he worked in. And that was the first barbershop that I walked into and had him cut my hair. And
mm,
ever since then, he was cutting my hair at that point, even to when he opened up his own shop and went across the street, he was cutting my hair until I started growing my hair out.
okay.
Um, and then the next time I cut my hair was me being in a position of saying, well, I want to cut my own hair. Since I'm learning how to cut people's hair, I need to learn how to cut my own hair as well.
Okay.
Um, but working at the shop next door, which was the first shop, and I can't remember the name, but it was like literally prestigious hair. The
Mm,
other barbershop was like right next door to it.
okay.
So they were like close to it, like maybe a door in between each other.
Okay.
Um, and that barbershop I worked in, I would always walk out of that barbershop and go next door to Prestige and see the barbers and see how they cut
Mm,
because they were the first ones to expose me to like the crisp lines, the asymmetrical, shape of the hairline and the beard and all of this.
mhm.
Um, and so
What year are we talking?
we're talking 97, 98.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Telling
fun.
my age right now.
Yeah, it's
Um, I was a real young cat at that point. It's
okay.
probably like 18 or 19 or something
Okay.
like that. Um, yeah, I think the first time I picked up a clipper was when I was 17.
Mhm.
And so around that time was when I worked in the shop. And yeah, I think my first couple of days were kind of a blur to me, even though I knew I was nervous, but it was just me more so worrying about pulling in the clientele to get money than
Okay.
me worrying about the work that I was going to contribute as far as cutting hair. But I
Okay.
do remember my first mess up in that barbershop.
Oh
I
man.
was, yeah, I was giving somebody an afro cut, uh somewhat of getting their sides a little bit short, and then the top was kind of like a fro, but not shaped like a fro, but
Mm,
Um, and I know I had a master at that time because the barber told me you can't work in this shop until you have these clippers, and he
mhm,
told me to get a classic 76er from
mhm,
Asta. Told me to get a master from Andis.
mhm,
Told me to get the T outliner from Andis,
mhm.
and I
Wall
think
seams.
the next clipper that I already had was a wall clipper, right?
Okay.
And
Yep.
so I had those four clippers, and I was using the Andis clipper, um, the surgical, and I
Mhm.
was doing the shape. And somehow, back in those times, Andis gets hot very quick. And
Oh
this
yeah.
was, and I was learning how to use, because when me learning how to cut hair in my neighborhood, all I was using was wall. I never used the Andis,
Mm,
except for the style liner. That's
okay.
what I was using to trim to shape people up. I was using a style liner and not the T outliner.
Mhm.
So jumping now to the Andis Master, I'm doing this fro and it's taking a little bit of some time because I want to make sure it's perfect. I don't want to mess up. And here it is. It's getting hot in my hand.
Mhm.
So hot that it burnt and it slipped out my hand because it was so hot.
Oh.
And zoop,
Oh
and I was able to
shoot.
catch it, but it did a little scoop.
Yeah.
And the fro,
That's
and I like,
damn.
thankful to the client that was in the chair, because he could have just spazzed out on me immediately, but he literally was just like, "What happened?" And I told him, I said, "I'm so sorry."
Uh-huh.
And I showed him in the mirror what was going on, and he said, "All right, no problem. Just, just fix it. It's no biggie." And I fixed it.
Okay.
And after that, he was cool. You know what I mean? I don't remember seeing him again, but he
Right.
was cool from the time that he got up out the chair, he paid me, and he didn't walk out the shop like pissed off that I gave him, that I did that to his hair. Because after, like, at the end of the day, the haircut was good. I just took more hair off his head than he would have wanted to have had on his
Right.
hair.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about, so you worked at the shop for a while and then the owner was like, yo, you need to be an apprentice.
I was working at that shop for a while, and then I realized that I couldn't stay at that shop, so I went to another shop, and I
Wait,
went to this.
how come you couldn't stay? The clients wasn't coming in?
A little bit of that, but it really was just mostly about what was happening in that barbershop that I wasn't okay with
Okay.
at the time, and I was like, it's best that I leave before something happens and I'm
Right.
in that shop as it happens. So
Right.
I
Yeah,
left and
sure.
went to another shop, which was like on Church Avenue, between, it was like right, it was on Kings Highway and I think 57th Street, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken, between 57th and Kings Highway. And there's a barber shop there.
What's the name of it?
And
You gotta remember these names,
I
bro.
know I have to remember these names, right? But
Oh man.
I remembered the people more than I remembered the name of the shop, right?
Okay.
And somebody else will probably tell me, but
Okay.
I'm bad with when it comes to that for some reason.
Okay.
But went to that shop and realized that there was a lot that I needed to learn still, right?
Mm. So the
Um,
level, the skill level of the barbers was way better than where you came from.
because of where I came from, there wasn't really a barber there that was showing me, that was really into like the new age of cutting, if that makes any sense. They were mostly cutting older men that
Mm.
were, stuck in their ways and know exactly what they wanted. I was the only young person in there that was doing, young cuts,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't really tell me anything. For example, tapering is not just combing, just using a clipper and going down with the grain. It's going against the grain to get the fade and stuff
Right.
like that. And
Right.
back then, when I was doing a taper, when I walked into that shop, somebody asked me for the next shop I went into, somebody asked me for a taper, and I'm going down with the clipper. And the
Mm-hmm.
owner had to come in and said, and the owner was Jamaican, and say, "Yo, what I do? What's wrong with you, boy?" And
Uh-huh.
just like told me and showed me exactly how to do it. And I was just
Okay.
like, and from then I just started I felt like I needed to get better at that. And there was other barbers in that shop that were doing good work at the time that I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna just watch what they do and then I'm gonna learn. And then I sort of went into an apprenticeship with the owner at that time. Um,
You know, that's really good, and we shouldn't overlook that. That you started out in a very positive environment, positive barbershop environment, because a lot of young barbers, myself included, did not. You know, I started out in a shop where I was laughed at. You know, my first barber shop, I was laughed at. I was ridiculed. When clients would walk in and get ready to sit in my chair, you know, the other barbers would be like, "Oh, yo, don't do it." You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So it's great that you know, your first true barbershop experience, you had barbers that was willing to help you, you know,
Yeah, yeah, because not everybody wants to help you.
especially in New York. You know how New York
Yeah.
are,
Oh,
boy.
yeah, it's a competition, It's every
Mhm.
man for himself kind of situation, So, I was fortunate enough that people saw that there was potential in me, and they just
Mhm.
wanted to help build that potential, you know. Um, but
Okay.
then, yeah, so that's how that happened. Yep,
Okay. So you so in New York, how long do you have to be an apprentice for? How many months?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So you did 2 years. And oh, how was the state board? Was it like did you use mannequin? Did you use a live model, or how did that work?
That was a live model. It's like you have to bring a live model to that situation. Um,
Georgia
and
needs to go back to that, by the way, because my one of the barbers in my shop just took his test. And that mannequin, man, it does not give you a realistic. When you cut it, it's not realistic. You know what I mean? But he's a good barber. But he said his cut was trash. You know, because the hair on the mannequin, sticks up like crazy. But yeah, so you had a live model.
yep, had a live model. Um,
You remember the different parts you had to learn? I mean, you had to do like the shave, the cut.
Well, the shaving aspect of it is totally different from what the shaving is required now. Now you require 14 step shaving.
Right.
Before, you didn't require 14 steps of shaving. You just required that there was a certain motion that you had to go one stroke, things of that nature back then.
Hmm. So they didn't
Um,
even ask for the number. Okay.
yeah, they didn't even ask for the number. So like now it's one, two,
Mm.
3,
Mhm.
4, 5, etc.
Okay.
Um, so it's different now. But back then it was I won't say that it was easy, but it wasn't as like detailed with the shaving as it was back, now than it was back then for sure.
Okay. Did y'all have to do a facial back then?
You had to shampoo the hair,
Okay.
like yeah, all of that stuff.
Okay. All right. Because I took mine in DC, and let me tell you, not only did you have to cut a black head, but you had to cut a white hair. Okay. Now, how
Hmm.
many black men in DC know a white person who will
I'm
trust
so
them?
sorry. Mr. Taper, 1 second. Hold on. I,
Okay.
I let me see what's going on here. Just give me 1 second.
No problem. No problem. So we are here with Director's Cut Inc., Mr. Sincere G, chilling. He'll be right back. I was telling him about DC and my experience doing my state board. You had to not only cut a black hair, but you had to cut a white hair. And that was crazy, first of all, finding a white hair, you know. Hey, there he is. Okay.
Yes, sorry about that, guys.
No, it's all good. I was just saying, in DC back then, you had to cut a white and a black hair. And I'm looking for a white person on the streets of DC to come with me to my state board. I don't know how I found dude, but
Mm,
I did find him, and I got through it. But that was just crazy. That state
yeah,
board.
it was. And
Yeah.
me, I had to find the person and have like at least 2 inches of hair with the afro. You tape
Mhm.
the back a little bit and then
Mhm.
pick it out and make sure that everything is on point. So yeah, trust me, I get it.
Okay. So let's skip ahead to who was your first celebrity or well-known client?
Uh, I will say this. The first time I cut a celebrity was an athlete. I cut an
Okay.
athlete, right? And this was like years ago in Brooklyn. When I say years ago, this probably was like 2000,
Okay.
right? The year was 2000. And first athlete that I ever cut was Jawan Howard.
Oh shoot. Okay.
So Jawan Howard was actually in a record store that was next door to the shop that I was in. And this time I'm working in the barber shop on Flatbush Avenue in Park Slope, Flatbush and Prospect Place. The name of that shop was First Impressions. I know that shop,
Okay.
right?
Well,
Um,
first of all, was it the type of shop that a lot of celebrities will come into based on location?
yeah, I mean, I guess it was a lot of celebrities that would come in. And give me 1 second.
Okay.
This is terrible. Hold on
No,
one
no,
second.
you good. You good. And we are once again talking to Mr. Sincere, Director's Cut Inc., one of the one of the more well-known, influential barbers in the game. For those who don't know, well, I'm gonna let him tell you who he cuts, but he's a very well-known barber, and I'm actually enjoying this interview. So, yeah,
Yes. So yeah.
okay,
So a lot of like, there's been celebrities in and out in that area because Park Slope in Brooklyn, which is not too far from Fort Greene. Those areas often have celebrity people that lives in those areas, right?
okay,
So there was a music store that was like right next door, like 2 doors away from the barbershop that I was working in. And I just happened to be in there because I know the person that, runs the music store, the woman
mhm,
that was running it and everything. So, but there was like a guy that was behind the register that I was cool with. We was just chopping it up. And
mhm,
in walks Jawan Howard just out the blue. And so I say hello and I keep my cool and whatever. And I'm talking and he's looking for something. And then next thing you know, um, I say, I think I stepped out, went to go get my business card, came back in.
mhm,
And I was just like, excuse me, so you're Jawan Howard, right? He said, yeah. I was like, yo, it's such a pleasure to meet you. This, that, and the third. He said, yo, likewise. I said, listen, you probably have your barber already and this, that, and the third. But anytime that you're in town, if you want to get a cut, like I'm right here next door, just, come see me and you can, right? He
mhm.
said, he said, he looked at the card. He was like, okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. He said, can you cut my hair like this?" And he pointed to his hair. And I
Uh-huh.
told him, I said, "I could cut better than that." And then he was just like, "That's a good answer." He said, "All right, I'm gonna come see you."
Oh man, okay.
So he actually did come see me, and I
Uh-huh.
cut his hair, and he liked it, and he gave me a real good tip after paying for the haircut and everything. And I think that was
Okay.
the first and last time I cut him. Fast forward,
Oh,
um, the very, very first celebrity client that I cut in TV and film,
mhm.
um, that would be Michael K. Williams.
Mm, rest in peace. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yes, sir. How did you
Yeah.
meet him?
I met Michael on a shoot of double XL magazine fashion shoot. So those who are familiar, like Double XL magazine was one of like the hip hop magazines that came in and took over the Source magazine and all of these publications. They were the publication at that time. Um,
Okay.
and a friend of mine's, his name was Coffee. He was the editor and he was the fashion editor for Double XL. So
Okay.
anytime there was a shoot that needed to happen, he would call me to come in to groom the
Ah,
talent for the shoot. And in this particular shoot, the talent that needed grooming was Michael K. Williams. And it's crazy because there was a couple of people that I knew in my circle that worked with Michael or knew Michael and was
mhm,
trying to get me and Michael to work together at some point.
mhm.
Um, but it just somehow just never connected at that time. And then here it is, it finally connected. So when we met, we basically had a conversation about who we knew and who was trying to get us to meet. And we were happy that we finally met. I groomed him for the shoot and took care of him and everything like that. He asked for my card. I gave him my business card. And he was like, okay, cool. I see you soon. I'll see you around. And that was that. That may have happened in October of 2010.
Okay.
By March of 2011, one second, somebody's at my door. It's just a hotspot over here for some reason.
No
Hold on one
problem.
second.
No problem. Yes, sir. We are talking to Mr. Director's Cut Inc., one of the, I'll say, one of the best TV and film barbers out there. You have, of course, you have Marcus, you have Sincere, you have Pierce, you have Stacy, you have Johnny Cakes, you have Jigga, you have Tone McGill, you have Kenny Duncan. These are all barbers who I feel are one of the top barbers in their game.
Listen, I totally agree with you. I heard all the names that you mentioned and all those guys, man. Like, I have nothing but respect for them.
Mhm.
They've showed me the same respect, and it's like nothing but love all across the board. You know what I mean? Definitely,
Mhm.
those guys are definitely top tier.
Okay. So when you were doing the double XL uh, grooming, was that like your first connect into the film? Well, it wasn't film, but into the entertainment industry.
Yeah, because at that point I had made it very clear that I wanted to um, do something as far as barbering was concerned on a different level, just take a
Mhm.
different turn with it. And I knew that I wanted to get into the entertainment industry. At that time that I wanted to get into it, it was mostly the big thing was the music industry at that time. And
Right.
so that was the industry that I was trying to get into.
Yes.
But lo and behold, like I said, I reached out to Coffee and said, listen, this is my company. This is what we're doing.
Mm.
And, you may not know you may not have anything for me per se from you, but I'm just letting you know that if you hear something from anybody that's looking for a groomer or anything of that nature, just, give him my card, show love. And he actually showed me love by saying, listen, I have a shoot that I'm doing. Why don't you come and do that shoot? And
Okay.
then from that shoot that I've done with him, every shoot after, he's just been calling me to do those shoots. And then finally, I meet Michael K. Williams at that shoot. And, at one of the shoots that we've done. And I thought that that was not that that was the end of it.
Hmm.
I'm sure that there was a point where we're going to see each other again for sure, but
Right.
I didn't know the next time that I meet him that it would be at the magnitude that it would come to.
Okay. So what was that next project?
Michael, like I said, we met October 2010.
Hmm.
March of 2011, he gives me a phone call. I don't know it's him. I'm in the barbershop. I pick up. Hey, he says, yeah, this is Michael. It's Michael K. Williams. This sincere. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, yeah. I was like, oh wow. I'm like, it's Michael. What's up? And he's like, yeah. Listen, I'm doing this show right now, and they're not really, they they're really not well versed in doing my hair. I need you to come and do my hair, right? I'm gonna set it up to where you come in, you do my hair. I'm gonna try to get you into the union because like we gonna figure this thing out. So I'm gonna have somebody call you with the details, and that's that. I was like, wow, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Like it was a real quick call and it was
Right.
very, very rushed, so to speak, but he got his point across to me. I knew what was going on, and then it was just once I hung up, I was receiving a phone call from people who's letting me know what I need to do, how I need to go about it, and how to get
Hmm.
in with Michael. And that was the beginning of it. So I
Oh.
worked with Michael from March of 2011 up until the last project that I worked with him on, which was Lovecraft Country.
Mm. Okay. Did you know when he said, "I'm going to get you into the union"? Did you realize how big a deal that was back then?
If I'm being honest and transparent, no, I did not know how important somebody saying that to you
Right,
was at the time. At
right.
that time, to be totally honest with you, it was just more so of me thinking, wow, this is an actor that I've watched on television that I've met and is groomed, very, very um, quickly, like one time. And based off that one time, has now called on me to come and do a whole season with him on a show that I've already been watching before. Because at this point, he's shooting the second season. The first season was already shot and in the can,
Mhm.
and HBO had already shown it already. And so
Which
I've seen the first season. So I'm jumping into working with him after I've already seen what the first season was like.
which show was that?
Boardwalk Empire.
Ah, okay, okay. Wow. Damn,
Yeah,
that's crazy, bro.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, so to just jump into that space, it was just like, wow, my mind was just literally still trying to wrap my head around that. And
Right.
then being on set the first time and seeing what's going on and him giving me some cues and some knowledge on what am I supposed to do, while I'm on set with him. Like he taught me the true, like one of like the first person to teach me the true essence of being a personal on set and working with the talent on set to making sure that that talent is taken care of when your work is on the talent for sure.
Wow. So your first day on set, I know you remember it. Tell me, tell me about that. 'Cause I know you woke up super early, right?
Well, the thing with me is I've always been that person, and people will tell you I've always been that person and like, yo, if you on time, you late. If you
Hmm.
early, you on time, right? And
Hmm.
so if my call time was whatever time that they said it was, if it was 7 a.m., I'm I'm trying to be where I need to be at 6:30
Hmm.
to give myself that grace and
Right.
that time to do what I need to do.
How was your team? Your first team you worked with, were they like real friendly?
They were. I mean, they seemed like when I my first day when they first saw me, it was just like, okay, like they kind of knew that I was coming, but it was still kind of like, getting to know who I am. But they were very, very, very friendly. The department head was a woman named Francesca Paris,
Mhm.
and the makeup department head was her daughter, Michelle Paris. And so, working with those two, mother and daughter, um, I learned a lot from them as well, as far as like being on set. And Francesca was definitely um, very helpful in letting me know what to do or how to go about things and how to basically take care of Michael and what he requires because I think she knew what they were doing and how they set him up originally. So it's just for me to continue that process, but just add my touch that I knew I needed to add that Michael requested.
Okay.
And so the nervous part really was just being around all these lights and these cameras and set
Mhm.
and learning very, very quickly about set etiquette and stay out of sight when they're shooting and stuff like that, but stay in sight when it's time to do last looks, when it's time to
Mhm.
take care of your talent before they start rolling again. And
Right.
so, yeah.
Wow. You know what I just thought, bro? You went from being in a barber shop to being somebody's personal on a hit show in like one day, bro. That's
Yeah.
crazy, bro. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing, man. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, I've been blessed.
okay. So when you're doing Michael, I'm assuming the word gets out, people see your work. Other actors like, hey man, I got this project coming up. I need you to be my person.
It didn't quite go that way. I mean, you would think that it would go that way, but nah, it didn't even go that way. It's like I was working with Michael on Boardwalk, but I was still in the barbershop. because
Okay.
there was certain days that Michael didn't have to go to work on set. So on those
Okay.
days that he didn't go to work on set, I was in the barbershop doing what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that there was a client of mine I that walked in. He was a walk-in,
Mm-hmm.
became my client. And the thing about it is that he walked in straight to me. He didn't look for anybody else to see how anybody else cut. And
Mm-hmm.
as once I cut him, he started to express to me that, his parents live in the neighborhood, and he's been driving by the shop, seeing, just looking in the shop, and he saw me cutting at one point and was
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, I gotta come back and get a haircut. And so he deliberately came straight to me to get a haircut. So I'm cutting his hair and I'm doing a good job and getting them nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say about a month, or not even a month, like maybe 2 months or so. I'm cutting his hair. By like the third month or so, he calls me, and I'm thinking he's calling me to make an appointment, and
Mm-hmm.
he's actually calling me to see if I'm available to do a shoot. And so I'm on the phone with him. He's like, "Hey, I was calling you to see if you'd be available to do a shoot. I know how you said that, you be working on set and you work on Boardwalk Empire and stuff like that. So I figured this would work for you." I was like, "Yeah, definitely." He
Mm-hmm.
said, "Yeah, there's a shoot that's happening for LA Times. They're doing a shoot on my client. I don't know, like, have I ever? I know I've never told you exactly what I've done, but like, I'm a manager, and this is kind of like what I do." I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
um, "I know you in the industry, but I didn't know that you're a manager." No, so yeah, that's good. That's news to me. So okay, cool. That's what you do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "So what is this shoot about?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a shoot. It's gonna be on the cover of the LA Times and stuff, like a section of the LA Times and everything." And my client is Idris Elba. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
Wow.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, so give me the details and I'll come through. And he's like, got you. And so I hang up the phone. And at this point, I'm saying to myself, like, what are the odds, right? What are the odds of me grooming Michael Kenneth Williams for a TV series for HBO that is already established, right? And has become like one of the major HBO series of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I get a job to do another actor whose name is Idris Elba, which coincidentally, these two actors have worked together on The Wire.
Right. Wow. That's a crazy coincidence.
I
That,
say, yo, you can't make this up. You know what I mean? So like,
wow.
um, I went on that job, and I worked with Idris and cut Idris. And um, when I left, the manager was just like, "Good job. I'll hit you up later and let you know what's going on." And when he hit me up later, he said, "Listen, just finished talking to Idris, and he says that every time that he comes to New York, you're his guy that he wants to come and cut his hair every time he's in New York." And so
Mm-hmm.
now I'm simultaneously working with Idris Elba and Michael K. Williams at the same time in
Wow.
the same year.
Okay. What kind of cut did Idris get that first cut? Ball faded?
Surprisingly, he didn't do much. It was really just like a cleanup. He
Okay.
couldn't really do much to his hair because I think he was in a role that he was for.
Oh,
And
right.
so he couldn't really do much to his hair, but he just wanted to be cleaned up. And so he specifically told me exactly what he wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
I specifically gave that to him. And I think that's what it was, like him knowing that I can follow directions and give him exactly what he wanted. And I
Right.
think pulling out the scissors on him, because he was just like, wow, this is true barbershop situation here right now. Like, you got the scissors over my head. Like, he hasn't, nobody, I guess at that time, nobody was really using scissors like that,
Right.
and so I think that's what got his attention, on top of the simple fact that I make it a point that when I work on set at those and in those times when I
Mhm.
was working on set for Boardwalk Empire, or any set for that matter, I had on a suit and tie.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. So, well, he was definitely impressed by the way you looked, right?
Yeah, Michael was definitely impressed by that, and Idris, I think, was impressed by that as well, you know. And the thing about it is that it wasn't it wasn't like it was a gimmick that I created to get the attention. It was just really just me saying to myself that if I'm presenting myself in this type of industry, working with these professionals, right?
Mhm.
Um, what is going to allow these professionals to trust me when it comes down to cutting their hair, right? And I just thought about, men that usually men and women that work in the financial situation, right? Whether
Mhm.
it's Wall Street or so, right? I used to remember being on a train, going to the city and passing Wall Street, all these men and women would get off this train stop, and women would have their blouses and their suits on, and men would have their suit and tie on with their briefcase.
Mhm.
And it's like when they talk money to you, you take them serious because you look at it like, yo, you dress this way, you must know what you're talking about, right?
Right.
So there's a certain level not security, but you have this certain level of where you feel like confident that this person knows what they're talking about, right?
Right. You trust them.
So you trust them. So
And
I wanted that same feeling in my industry, in my profession, whenever I came in. So I had my briefcase, and my briefcase had my clippers in it, and I had
mhm.
my suit and tie. And so that was my approach. And then it's not till later on where people saw it, was bringing it to my attention, was just saying to me that that's different. Like you really know that you're marketing yourself in a different type of way, right? And I
Right.
never looked at it that way, but the reality, I guess, was that the perception was that I marketed myself to wearing a suit and tie in order to have the attention of the clients that I had.
Right. And let me tell you, I've heard that story before, and you are the reason why every Friday, I don't do it every Friday, but I try every Friday to wear a shirt and tie at the shop because I want to be professional. I want my clients to feel comfortable. And every time I do it, I get a whole lot of compliments. I get a whole lot of walk-ins. And you are the sole reason why I do that. So I
Wow.
gotta give you a shout out. I try to get all the fellas to do it. A couple of them will do it. But yeah, you're the reason why I do that, man. So I gotta say thanks for that.
Oh man, I appreciate you for sharing that with me. Definitely.
No problem.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
No problem. No problem. So you started cutting Idris. Did you know after that first cut that were you like, yo, this is gonna be more than one cut? I can tell. Could you tell?
No, because I always walk into a situation where it's just like, don't expect anything. Do what you need to do the work. Just focus on
Right.
that, and then whatever else comes after that will come. So I
Got
never walk into a situation where I'm just like anticipating or trying to say that, let's like predict that this is going to be more than what it is. If it
it.
happens to be that way, that's great. If it doesn't, that's great as well, because I know that I didn't focus on the what ifs of the potential of what this could be. I focused on the right now. And the right now is to make sure that this person looks a certain type of way, ready for camera, ready to take photos, whatever it is that they're doing.
Okay. Got you. Got you. Okay. Do you teach any classes?
I will. I
Okay.
will.
Okay.
That's coming for sure.
Yeah, because I
Um,
know that would be a great class if you taught, you know, how to how to be an on-set barber. Because
mhm.
that's a class I've never seen anybody teach, and you could talk about, the etiquette, not just the actual skills, but, the whole thing. Because my first and only movie, I was, I was like a deer in the headlights, but it was a great experience though. But yeah, that would be
Nice.
a great class.
No, yeah, that's it's crazy that you say that because that is something that like I'm looking to do, and it's I'm like in the process of just writing, the format of what it is and how I'm going to do it, the lesson planners and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so like once that's done, um, it will start at some point soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I say soon, I'm thinking next year.
Okay, cool, cool. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna put this out in the universe, but I would love to see a panel of you, Kenny Duncan, Tyreek, Jigga, Tone McGill, uh, Johnny Cakes. I know I'm forgetting somebody, but I would just love to see like a group panel of you guys, doing something, just a Q&A for the barber industry. You know what I mean? That would
Yeah,
be
that's
great.
actually that actually would be a dope situation because then all all of us have different experiences
Mhm,
individually when it comes to the entertainment industry and working in TV and film. And then we also have stories uh that
mhm,
or projects that we've worked on together, you know what I mean? Tone McGill, I've actually worked on a couple of projects with him
mm.
in this year alone, this year and last year, to be honest with you. Towards the end of 2022 and all throughout 2023, sporadically, me and Tone have worked together, and
That's a
that's
good
my
brother.
yeah, real good brother, and I think we need more of a situation like that. Even Jigga, I've worked with Jigga.
Mhm,
That's my guy. I met Jigga on Lovecraft Country, and we've been solid ever since.
mhm.
Um, and it's just that thing. Like they'll tell you, I'm that person that is just like, yo, iron sharpens iron.
Mhm.
I'm never gonna be in a situation where like I know something or I'm able to help somebody and not be in a position to help them. I don't care who I'm working with or the stature that, people may put me in place because of who I'm working with, the talent that I'm working with.
Mhm.
I'm still a brethren just like anybody else. And so for me, it's more of like, how can I help? You know what I mean? I know I'm here doing X, Y, and Z, but like if I could help by, you know, adding a helping hand to you or even sharing something with you that you don't know about, information that you may not know about, vice versa. Like each one teach one. That's how we get ahead in this, and there's very, very few of us in this industry. And so when we see each other, it has to be nothing but love. It can't be, you
Right,
know, a look and it's just like how you get here or you here to take my shine, right? Like it shouldn't be
right,
that type of situation, right?
right, right. That's good. That's great. So, lead us on. So, tell me how many. Let's talk about some more celebrities who you've cut.
Sure. So besides Michael K. Williams and Idris Elba, I've groomed the likes of Diggy Simmons. I've groomed Hill Harper. I've groomed
Mm.
Anthony Mackie. I've groomed Will Catlett. I've groomed um, who else? Um, Jonathan Majors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Actually, Jonathan Majors was the last project that I worked on with Jonathan was Loki too.
Okay.
And um,
Mhm.
and so um, it just goes on. I mean, like there's been a lot of actors that come and have sat into my chair. Tyler Lepley,
Mhm.
um, Shannon Wallace. Um,
Has there ever been an actor where you had to like you might have been a little starstruck, or it's like the New York thing? You know how we don't get starstruck. You know what I'm saying?
It's not that it's a New York thing that I don't get starstruck, but there's moments where you see somebody and then it's for me, it's always been the connection that I have with these actors.
Mhm.
And, you know, lo and behold, like as much as I've seen them on television and admire their work, and it feel definitely in a position where I feel blessed to be in this place to be able to groom them, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's still a sense of I'm here to do a job. I'm here to provide a service. And
Right.
so as much as we are get to know each other in order for that service to be what it is, right? Um,
Mhm.
my focus at the time after, whatever is just like making sure that I'm giving this person the respect to give them what they're asking for and to focus on that than to focus on the simple fact that they're this talent that there's this public figure that everybody knows of, and anyone else that would know that I'm actually working with this individual would be like, oh my god, and would be a fan, which more likely so they deserve that praise, right? And I give it to them, but I give it to them in a sense of like, I appreciate you for the work that you've done, that you've contributed. How can I be of service? What is it that you're looking for? What's the look that we're trying to establish right now? And then we take it from there. You know, Ron Rico Lee is one person that I would say that when I met him, it was like a wow situation because I've seen Ron Rico Lee on the Cosby Show, right? And then for him to be in my chair from that span of time till now, it's like you've watched somebody grow up as you're growing up as well, and now you're in this position where you're cutting this person, and it's like wow. And then to come to find out, him and I are born in the same month, and we are the same sign. We have certain things in common, and it's just you build a certain thing with that person. So it's all cool. And I've always been in a position to build something with an actor that I've worked with, no matter who it was, and
Mhm.
you know, more than likely, a lot of them leave with that notion that Sincere is a good brother. Like that's a good brother. He's good at what he does. He's a good person. Like I can't, there's not one person that can speak like of negative of the service that I provided or the person that I am. So,
That's
and
excellent.
that's the legacy that I liked to leave behind when it all boils down to it.
Okay. That's excellent, man. So, what are your tools of pleasure? Your top trimmers and top clippers you rock with? Because if you like
Um,
me, they'll change every couple of months.
yeah, they tend to switch up. Um, because there was a moment where it was just strictly Wall, and then there was a moment where it was just strictly Andis. Then there was a moment then when Bevel came out, I was using Bevel and using their products, and then there's a moment where Asta was in it.
Mhm.
Um, I recently have been using Babyliss, their products and using their product and seeing how their product work.
Okay.
Um, but to be really, really honest, like the I'm probably gonna mix and match right now
Mhm.
because every one product is good for something.
Right.
Um, there's the walls that I'll use like the senior and the master clip are very good.
Okay.
Senior is very, very heavy.
Mhm.
So you're getting the power within the senior because it's heavy.
Mhm.
But if I know that I need something that's going to get me to utilize my tools a lot quicker, the master clip, because it's a lighter clipper, I'll use that um, to for
You
the
all.
for
You all.
shaping up,
Mhm.
and this T outline of the black and gold. Um,
Mhm.
those are those are definitely precise for what I use them for. I like them, and Um, I'm starting to now like the detailer for wall as well.
Mhm.
Um, The
Yeah.
detail of a wall is really, really, really good. I
The
like using
cordless
it.
or
Yeah,
the
cordless,
okay.
cordless. But I did say to myself that when I'm in a position to, at some point, open up a shop of mine,
Mhm,
or something that I'm working with, I mean, working in, station, so to speak, that I moved away from the chords, but I
mhm,
think that I'm gonna go back to the chord, because
mhm.
there's a certain level of power that comes with the chord that
Yeah,
you can't get with the cordless. And
right.
so the cordless is great, and it's, I've been in situations where I've come and seen a client, and they're looking for an outlet for me, and I'm like, I'm fine, I got cordless, like,
Mm,
we're good, and they're like, oh, it's perfect, you know. But the cord, when I turn that clipper on and feel that power, it just takes me back someplace, and it's just like, okay,
right.
let's see what we can do. So it's been a long time since I've used a corded clipper.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking next year, I'm gonna begin the year, or at some point next year, I'm gonna go back into the cord and see how that works for me.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Shout out to my man, H3 Dimensions in Houston. He uses all quartered. He rocks with the masters, the outliners. Cuts and the blends are flawless. So
Nice.
it's a trend that I think will slowly get picked up, especially if you do it and you showcase it.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I broke out my masters the other month, and I hadn't used them in years, and I forgot how much power are in those things, man. So I keep that on my station. But
Nice.
yeah, man. Let's see what else. What else? So what projects are you working on now, or are you chilling right now?
Honestly, right now I'm chilling.
Okay.
I'm in New York. I'm in the barber shop right now,
Okay.
and I've been in the barber shop since late August, early September of
Okay.
this year. Um, because this whole strike situation,
Oh
how it
yeah. Yeah.
affects, how it affected everybody. They don't really speak about that too much, and I realized that even coming back into the barbershop, how misinformed some people are, as far as the strike is concerned. They've only gotten some of the information about the strike,
Mm,
and then haven't really received all of the information of the strike, and how much people it's affected, and how much people is triggered in this industry, and
mhm,
how much people were at a place where fortunate enough to pivot, and
right,
how some weren't fortunate enough to pivot,
mhm,
and really, really needed help around this time as the strike was happening. Um,
mhm,
so yeah, I've just been in the shop, just been making it my due diligence, not only to service clients and kind of get back into the groove of things, because I haven't been in the shop in a long time. It's been like probably 4 years since I've been in the shop. And
mhm,
so being back in the shop felt rejuvenating. It felt
mm,
like I needed that. I needed to get back into the atmosphere. And it's not that I removed myself from it because I felt that I didn't need it anymore. I was done with it or anything of that nature. It's just my schedule would not allow me to have that luxury of time to be in the shop those 4 years. And
okay.
so
Wow.
once I had the opportunity to just go back into the shop, I realized how much I missed it, the community, the discussions, the you
Mhm,
know, being able to be free with your creativity, right? You're
right.
free with that, and when you're working on TV and film, you're free with that, but it's still certain limitations because you're doing what the actor has said that they want to happen for the character that they're portraying for this role.
Right.
Production has their view on, and it's basically you being creative to create that
Mhm,
character that look for that character. Um, and as great as that is, sometimes, there should be some sort of a balance. So for me, it's sort of kind of getting back into the balance of things, of being able to work on set, take what I've learned from the shop to bring it on set, and then vice versa, what I've
Mhm.
learned on set, bring it back to the shop, you
Right.
know,
Okay.
and wash hands that way.
Okay. What's the name of the shop that you're in now?
The shop is called Changing Faces. It's located in Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
Change
Um,
State. Okay.
yeah,
How many
people would.
barbers?
How many barbers is it in there? Let's see,
Yeah.
one, two, three, four. So one, two, three, four. Five barbers.
Okay.
That's including me.
So you were the last barber hired, right? Or did you come in with any clientele? That's what I want to
I
know.
came. Oh, this time around.
Yeah.
No, this time around I'm starting from scratch. So I'm getting a lot of my clients that I've had in previously
Mhm.
before I left the 4 years.
Okay.
Um, some of my clients have come back from, that know that I'm back, or that are still around have come back for sure. But a lot of it is me starting from the ground up again, which is another humbling situation, right? Because before I left, I from the time that I came in to the time that I left, I was working. Clients used to joke with me and tell me that, like, booking an appointment with you is like trying to solidify a pair of Jordans when they come out
Mm.
on the app. You know what I'm saying? You
Uh,
waiting for that message to be like, you got it, right? You
right.
got them,
Right.
or you didn't get them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's where I came from, and then to now be in a situation where it's just like it's no longer that. I'm always available for somebody to come in and sit in my chairs for me to groom them. It's very humbling. It's very. I'm very grateful for it, and it's something that I need. Not because my ego was getting ahead of me or anything of that nature. It's just something that really shows you where you come from, a reminder of where you come from, of where it all started, so that you don't take this for granted. You don't take what you've been blessed with for granted. You become very humbling and very grateful for the things that are taking place. And so, um, and me meeting new clients and meeting new people are teaching me things about myself that I need to know, or I need to learn, or I didn't know about, you know what I'm saying? Or just reiterating the things that I know already.
Okay.
Um, so it's all love.
Okay. Okay. Well, tell us how we can find you either at the shop or on socials.
Yeah, so my social media handle is Directors Cut Inc. DIRECTORSCUTINC.
Hmm.
So you can follow me on that, and what I try to do is I try to post all of my work that I've done. Um, but I've been told that I need to start posting more, and um, I need to be on social media more to get
Yeah.
people to know who I am, and to
Yeah.
familiar with who I am, and to
Yeah.
get to know a certain side of me that not everybody knows. And so
Right.
I'm going to make sure and to do that, and also try to drop gems as much as I possibly can, because
Mhm.
I'm sure that I would have been anticipating somebody of my stature that I'm looking towards, you know, doing things that I may not be in a position to do, or am aspiring to be in a position to do, right?
Mhm.
I'm always looking to see or hear what they have to say, or how their mind works, or how they were able to be in certain situations. And so um I think I want to do that, as well as just teach people the history of barbering, because I think that that's something that's lost. A lot
Right.
of us know how to cut hair, but a lot of us don't know where cutting hair came from. We have an
Exactly.
idea, but we really don't know specifically where it came from. And so I wanna enlighten and help people know the knowledge that I know from that perspective. And I'm also open to learn because there may be things that I don't know that people,
Right.
other barbers know about that I can learn. And so I'm willing to start that dialogue with barbers to be like, yo, this is what I know. Did you know this? Did you know that? What do
Hmm.
you know? And all right, if we know all of this, let's share it with the world because they need to know too.
Right, right. You sound like a future barber instructor.
I mean, yeah, I guess future because I'm not that now, but
Hmm.
technically I feel like I am because I've gone to certain barber schools. Actually, I just went to a barber school here in New York City, ABI, American Barber Institute,
Hmm.
and I was there and it felt good showing, I was there training for the new board. I wanted to know what the new board, training looks like, what is
Okay.
required, the 14 steps, the 14 shaving steps, and things of that nature. And so while I was there training and got my training, anything that I knew that I was good at, once the instructor felt comfortable with me, he was able to allow me to teach any other students that were there training to be able to take their state board test at some point
Mm.
and see, how I could help. And I tried to be as helpful as possible. I don't know, I didn't walk away with anyone expressing how helpful I was to them, but
Hmm.
I still left there feeling, good about being in a position because I didn't do it for the feedback. I did it because it's what's necessary. It's what we need
Right,
in our community.
right, right. And New York, you're not gonna get people to thank you anyway. you know, you know how it is. But
Yeah.
hey, man, I appreciate you, man. I've been trying to get this podcast for a while, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate your knowledge, and just thank you for blessing us with that.
No, thank you, man. Thank you for reaching out. And thank you for being diligent because my schedule was kind of crazy.
Oh yes.
Um, but for reaching back out and seeing if there's an opportunity. And there's always an opportunity out to speak to me and to reach out and to pick my brain. So this
Mm.
goes for you and everybody else, anybody that wants to know what's going on or get any insight to anything, um, I'm willing to share for sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, bro, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Peace.
Peace.